now his robe, or the outer part that they didn't want to break apart. Matthew just has casting lots, that it might be fulfilled, which is spoken by the prophet. Mark 15:24, casting lots upon them what every man should take. Luke, and cast lots. That's it. Only John has all these extra details, and also his coat. Now the coat was without seam, woven from the top throughout. They said therefore among themselves, let us not rend it, but cast lots for it, whose it shall be. Okay, I have a thought. This statement from Mark, casting lots upon them what every man should take, perhaps that doesn't actually refer to his coat, because in John, they're casting lots for the one thing, which means that only one person is going to get it. But in Mark it says, casting lots upon them what every man should take. So perhaps they're casting lots for the parts of the garments as well. So the soldiers, when they had crucified Jesus, took his garments and made 4 parts, to every soldier a part. Perhaps it should be, and made 4 parts. Then from Mark, casting lots upon them what every man should take. Then back to John, to every soldier a part. Then I'll have the story from John that they also cast lots for his coat, and that they didn't part into different pieces, but it only went to one. I don't know how you could say that this statement from Mark, casting lots upon them what every man should take, concerning only his coat that they didn't part, it only went to one person. Because what every man should take would be nothing, 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 you get the whole coat. The other 3 wouldn't get anything. It doesn't make any sense to say casting lots what they all should take. So I am going to do that. I'm going to input that statement from Mark, casting lots upon them what every man should take. John, to every soldier a part. And also his coat. Now, the coat was without seam, woven from the top throughout. The and from Luke I don't use. I could use that now. And also his coat. Matthew, casting lots. Took his garments and made 4 parts, casting lots upon them what every man should take, to every soldier a part. Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. This is a fulfillment of a prophecy. Matthew has the note, Psalm 22:18. My God, why have you forsaken me? For those of you who have already read ahead, you know that that's one of his last statements as well. My God, why have you forsaken me? And I've heard a lot of people say, how could God forsake Jesus? Oh, maybe it's because Jesus was so full of the sins of the world that God couldn't look at him. No, doesn't make any sense. Because the Psalms were not broken apart into chapters and verses, the way that you would call to memory a certain psalm is by quoting the first line. And when everyone else who were very familiar with these psalms heard that first line, it would immediately remind them of the entire psalm. And this entire Psalm 22, that we have numbered 22, is the prophecy by David concerning Jesus. So that quote that he said, my God, why have you forsaken me? He's not crying out to God saying, I'm all alone here on the cross. He's telling every one of the people that Psalm 22 is now fulfilled. He's saying it in a way that all of them would understand. It's only difficult for us to get what he's saying. This is why he's calling it to memory, is because, verse 12, many bulls have compassed me, or surrounded, encompassed me. Strong bulls of Bashan have beset me round. My strength is dried up like a potsherd, and my tongue clings to my jaws. You have brought me into the dust of death, for dogs have compassed me. The assembly of the wicked have enclosed me, right? That's the council conspiring against him. They pierced my hands and my feet. That's extremely clear. Piercing his hands and his feet, that is required for crucifixion. And crucifixion wasn't around when David wrote this prophecy. I may tell. Okay, count. I can see all my bones. They look and stare upon me. They part my garments on them and cast lots upon my vesture. Vesture is another word for your clothing. How much more clear could you get? They part my garments and cast lots upon my vesture. Why exactly would you part some of your clothing and then cast lots for some other part of your clothing? It doesn't make any sense. Unless he has some parts, some pieces of clothing that are not extremely valuable, but then one that is, and they don't want to break it apart. Clearly, this is a prophecy about Jesus' death. They pierced my hands and my feet. They part my garments and cast lots upon my vesture. So, yes, prophecy fulfilled. Psalm 22. John, and also his coat. Now the coat was without seam, woven from the top throughout. Cast lots, not casting. So cast lots I can combine with Luke. Casting I can't, but lots I can from Matthew. So everything from John until those words, and then I'll combine it. And also his coat. Now the coat was without seam, woven from the top throughout. They said, therefore, among themselves, let us not rend it. But, now cast is also from Luke, and lots is also from Matthew. John only for it, whose it shall be. Continuing on with John, that the scripture might be fulfilled. That should be in Matthew as well. That it might be fulfilled, which was spoken by the prophet. I think I should have be fulfilled saved for the end. That the scripture, which was spoken by the prophet, might be fulfilled. Yeah. That is both. Now just John, the scripture, and then I'm going to go to Matthew, which was spoken by the prophet. Now from both might be fulfilled. They parted my garments. John, which says, they parted my raiment. I already have which was spoken, so I don't want to put which says. I'm just going to have which from both, and was spoken instead of says. From both. They parted my. John has raiment. Matthew has garments. What does Psalm say? They part my garments. Okay, so I'll go with garments again from Matthew. Among them is both. And upon my vesture did they cast lots. John has, and for my vesture they did cast lots. Let me see what Psalms actually says. And cast lots upon my vesture. Oh my goodness, really? Upon? Okay, it's underlined and explained as for my clothing. I think I'm going to have to go with upon because that's closer to what was originally written. I think it does make a bit more sense for another reason, is because earlier from Mark it does say, casting lots upon them what every man should take. That upon would be his garments. So hopefully it's explained in our minds already. Casting lots upon me, casting lots for, so that it's not confusing now, the second time it was brought up. My vesture, that's both. They did cast lots. Matthew, did they cast lots? Did they or they did? Let's go back to Psalm 22. And cast lots. So it doesn't really have that. I think I'm going to go with they did. The words in both, but it's the order of John. They did cast lots. And then John finishes, these things therefore the soldiers did. Matthew doesn't have that. Sitting down they watched him there. But that could be the crowds, that could be the Jews, that could be anyone. So I'm just going to finish with John. These things therefore the soldiers did. I'll stop there and leave off that last sentence from Matthew.